Born in Mexico, I reserve my right to yield all remaining time to Haley from Virginia.
That is right.
First of all, I'd just like to talk about the logistics of this proposal. Imagine a scenario where a police officer pulls over a person suspected of drunk driving who then refuses to take a breathalyzer. That person is then forced to go to the hospital. Oftentimes, drunk people are belligerent, and if they refuse to take a breathalyzer, they're certainly not going to cooperate in getting their blood drawn. Now, imagine a nurse trying to cooperate with this belligerent drunk person, trying to stick a needle to their arm and draw this blood. Furthermore, it's just a bureaucratical mess waiting to happen. There is a whole long line of blood tests waiting to be processed. They're going to have to take this blood sample and put it behind that line, and it's just going to create a great mess in our hospital systems. And furthermore, imagine the amount of money that's going to need to be allotted in paying these nurses to conduct these blood tests, and furthermore to get the extra blood tests process. And with that, I yield all remaining time to the delegate from Virginia. Thank you.
Rachel Haley, Commonwealth of Virginia. The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution states, "It is the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects, against unreasonable searches and seizures. Shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." Last time I checked, an automobile is a person's effect, and they have the right to be secure and not to have their blood seized. To force a person to submit to a BAC test is a violation of their fundamental Fourth Amendment right. As a survivor of a drunk driving accident, I understand and fully agree that drunk driving is a hazard that must be dealt with, but impeding upon a citizen's fundamental right is not the way to do this. A police officer has probable cause needed to obtain a warrant.
The most recently previous delegates saying that a person would be belligerent with a police officer and then go to the hospital and put up resistance with that. If you were within the legal limit and able to drive, you would not put up a fight, because if you're able to drive, why would you be belligerent when someone is trying to take you to the hospital? Secondly, it was brought up that unwarranted search and seizure. However, these officers have probable cause. They are all trained to look for suspected drunk drivers. When they do so, they will more than likely be correct in their assumptions. So it is not unwarranted search and seizure, therefore not violating the Fourth Amendment. Because also the driver has yielded the rights with the license, because driving is a privilege, not a right. To a previous delegate who came up and said that a Supreme Court case said that driving is a right, not a privilege. If driving was a right and not a privilege, would we consent with our license the ability to be pulled over for speeding to the ability to be pulled over for any other crime? No, we would not. Drunk driving is just simply another way for persons to be arrested, to be persecuted for the crime they have committed. On the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, thank you to the delegate who brought up that Jehovah's Witnesses can't drink. Say you don't buy that. It's against my religion to drive drunk. We cannot bring in the religion of peoples when considering the well-being of other humans and other Americans. Further on Jehovah's Witnesses, again, driving is a right, not a privilege. They would sacrifice their religious rights when taking the privilege of driving on America's roads. If a delegate came up and said it was intrusive to intrusive, what's really intrusive is killing someone through a drunk driving accident, because it has been proven that 96% of the time, drunk drivers drive drunk again. Even if their license is revoked for a year, they will come back and drive drunk once more. On the delegate who brought up the Supreme Court case about you can't have your own blood withdrawn, I have two arguments against that. It would eliminate driving drunk, or going to the hospital would eliminate the need for, your own blood can't be held against you because you have to get a court order to have it admissible in court. However, you have given consent by driving in America's roads, which is a privilege. You have given that consent to drive. Therefore, you give up the right to your own blood, which is not unwarranted search and seizure. Also, further, on the John Locke principle, we choose to drive, we choose to give up certain rights for the safety of the general public. Also, going to a court case in 1891, Maryland versus McCulloch. Maryland versus McCulloch. The court invoked the necessary and proper clause of the Constitution, which allowed the federal government to pass laws not expressly provided in the Constitution list of express powers of Congress under the Constitution, Basically, this fundamental case established two principles. One, the Constitution grants to Congress implied powers for implementing the Constitution's express powers in order to create a fundamental national government for the betterment of the general public. Secondly, state action may not impede valid constitutional exercises of the power by the federal government. Since the 14th Amendment has already been brought into play by other pro-delegates here, stating that states need to give up their rights for the betterment of the general public, considering that 12,000 people in 2008 died due to drunk drivers, due to the carelessness of these people. And I will end by saying that innocents have no reason to refuse a BAC testing. Once more, it's been said, the only prevention that prevents more vehicular deaths than a seatbelt is a rearview mirror with a policeman in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. We will now move into a period of voting on this proposal. The motion before this General Assembly is that proposal number 3.